Hi guys, Chris Buckler here. We're delighted to be joined by Dom Marcel now. Dom, welcome to Estate Agency Mastery. You've just hit a milestone since running your self-employed business of selling over £1 million worth, 100 million, sorry, worth of property. So thank you
Yep.
for joining us. That's huge. But we don't care about that. What we do care about is if you're an agent in Birmingham, Belfast, Bognor Regis, for someone that's gone and done it, what two, three, four tips could you give in the next 15, 20 minutes to someone that is either starting out or they're running an established business and they just want to make it better?
Yeah, no worries. First thing I think is fundamental for me is understanding that you work in marketing, not in sales. And that's kind of twofold, really. You have to learn to market yourself. If you want to become a self-employed agent or you want to grow a business or be a business owner, you need to understand that you have to understand how to promote yourself to people. But it's not just a case of the action. You need to understand the theory, the delivery, the messaging, and understand that, one of the phrases that I really love is emotion drives action. So unless you're sparking an emotion in somebody, it's just gonna, the amount of noise we've got going on nowadays. Now, the beauty with this for our job is that if you literally think about what our job is, it is to market someone's home in order to try and sell it for them. You could be the best viewer closer in the world, but if you've got no one to talk to, then you don't have a job, frankly. So learning marketing is not only going to help you attract more people to your business, but it's going to help you then sell your clients' homes, which in turn will then bring more people into your business. So it's an absolute fundamental. It is not good enough to say, I don't understand social media, I don't get this, I don't get that. You don't have a choice. Go and learn it, because no one knew it when they were born. The people that now do know it is because they took the time to go and do it. And there are some fantastic books, people, training courses out there that will give you some really key nuggets to help you focus on what's important and what angle you should be taking.
We've talked about this a lot before, Dom, offline and over the course of the last few years of knowing each other, of people buy emotion, right? Like you say, and when you see a car ad, they don't say this is the best car, it's 140 miles. It's the emotion of the
Yeah.
guy driving it with the slick back hair through the Alps. And it's the same in the estate agency, but you still see the marketing message of valuing in your street, what's your home worth, all the old school stuff where you do some really cool stuff differently when you list property. Do you mind sharing just a couple of things you do? Because I've heard you say on many occasions, don't sound like an estate agent. What do you mean by that?
I think it's more okay. Just sound like a human. You are a human. Stop trying to almost get out of this almost kind of perception you have of what professional looks like. Every time I've sold a house, I've sold it for a human to a human. So just be human, and getting comfortable with realizing that who you're not for is just as important as who you are for. So stop trying to worry about, if I say this, will it offend this person? You can go down that rabbit hole of then just doing nothing just in case, the butterfly effect and a tsunami happens over in bloody Japan because you sent a letter through someone's door. But ultimately, just talk to people on the level. Literally sit there and think, if I was that person, what would I want to hear? What's important? And if you just completely simplify, it's amazing how quickly you can resonate with people. So as an example, if we take a property onto the market, you've obviously sold homes in the past. You know what it's like. If you're doing an open house at a property, what's the one thing that you're normally kind of really cringy about as an agent, and you're staring out the front door? It's normally for like a traffic warden, and you're like, don't park there. Like, don't dump your car on the corner of the road. Don't block the next door house's driveway. Like, these are people that we're coming into their community, right? We're being disruptive effectively. No one on the street gives a monkeys that your client is deciding to move house and their reasons behind it. What they care about is that on an unexpected day, loads of people coming in, there's cars driving past really slowly. It's a case of, it's a real concern that people have got. So we just hit it on its head, and we rather than writing to the neighbor saying we're selling in your area, do you want to sell too? We kind of just say, just to give you the heads up, this home we are going to be putting on the market. You might see increased traffic over the next couple of weeks or so. We'll do our best just to make sure that it's kind of as convenient for you as possible. If you've got any concerns, please reach out. Here's my direct number. I don't want to piss anybody off. But the irony is, in turn, you're showing that you're human, and you're actually then telling people indirectly that we're actually selling something around the corner. And naturally, you get a letter through your door, something like that. First thing you're going to do, Chris, is you're going to go, let's have a look on Rightmove. Let's look at or I should say, other portals are available and should be promoted others because I've just had my increase through. But like I said, they're going to look at your marketing. They're going to look at the caliber of what you do. They're going to look at the price point. And then we send something once we've sold the home to say, thanks for bearing with us. We should be out of your hair now, all going well. If people do start continuing driving slowly past your houses, now concerns again, because that might be someone, casing your house, a bit of tongue in cheek, but just kind of letting them know, look, we're out of your hair. Thanks for bearing with us. And again, that's indirectly saying we've just sold it, and they're going to probably see the difference of how quickly you sold it and all that sort of thing. Now, it's effectively the same kind of action, but it's a totally different delivery method where you're not really sounding like an agent. You just kind of have got, what would piss me off if something happened on my street.
I love that, right? It's the indirect communication of, we've taken a property to market, we've just sold it, without sounding like an agent, and they're actually going to read it and empathize with it and go, wow, what a really decent bloke or decent team for sending us that. That's actually really nice. And if there is someone parking across my drive, I can give them a quick call. That's pretty cool. Wow, they sold that quick. And we thought it was quite a punchy price, because when we looked at it on Rightmove and the portals are available, we thought it was a bit punchy, or should I say the Lion Estates website, which will obviously drive them to. But they've done a really good job there. So I love that. Absolute gold. Absolute gold. What else you got, Dom? What else you got?
So I suppose it kind of goes in line with that in terms of, marketing's a big thing for me, but effectively our ethos has always been, we treat our clients like our marketing department. So rather than me spending thousands of pounds on Facebook ads or, just generic things that you could do to try and attract people to your business, we both know that the best appointments you ever have are referrals, right? They just are. They're warm leads. You don't have to do the hard sales pitch. And so rather than us spending money on marketing to attract clients, we spend that money on the standard of service that we offer and provide to that client and the experience that we give them, so that in turn they become our marketing department and they provide us more clients in the future. And we've been on a bit of a journey of this over the last 5 years. It's always been a big ethos of us, which has always been a case of, it's a big deal for people moving house. And that's one thing I would always say, is take what we do very seriously. We're talking about serious sums of money. The money that you make from your house sale, if you live in it, is tax-free income. And even if you get an extra £5,000 for someone, damn it, it's 500 quid for someone. If I gave you £500 in cash right now, you'd be over the moon. So don't take for granted that just because it's large numbers, that it's not, that it's only £1,000. Work your ass off for them, provide an amazing result. So we've always been sort of very conscious of that. But it's more of a case now that we've learned over the last 5 years, which is, I went into this with a bit of naivety, I suppose, in a sense, almost thinking no one is going to wake up every morning and want to drive people to my business. The best that I can get is for when someone is having a conversation with someone property related, they go, do you know who you should talk to? You should talk to Dom. And again, the thought process has always been, I don't want to be the sort of agent that somebody recommends or contacts when they're thinking of moving. I want to be the kind of guy that they have in my phone, like you would with an accountant or a solicitor or anything like that, where any property related question, like I'm the sort of guy that you have in your phone to ask questions to, not just when you're thinking of moving. And so, like I said, my naivety, or I suppose my limiting belief, as it were, was that no one's going to go out there and drive. The best we can do is, like I said, is when someone's thinking about moving, that they think about us. But actually, I think that's a load of crap. There are so many things in life. Like I said, if you can drive, we were just thinking too small in terms of not driving a powerful enough emotion. If you drive a powerful enough emotion into somebody that you blow them away, they will go out there and proactively be like, you have to talk to this person or this, or they'll actively go and tell all their friends, not just when it comes up in conversation. And the one piece of advice I would give to somebody to try and really understand that mindset. Have you watched The Bear on Disney Plus?
I haven't, no.
Brilliant program. There's only 2 series of it, but it's, in short, it's a Michelin star chef that ends up going back to Chicago and running his brother's sandwich shop. And he's trying to bring that Michelin star standard to kind of just bog standard. We're selling sandwiches. And there is, I think it's season 2, episode 6. And you don't need to have even watched the rest of it. We won't spoil it for you. You don't need any context. But one of his friends he sends across to this Michelin restaurant to understand the levels that you can provide in terms of customer experience. And it will just completely raise your ceiling in terms of what is possible. And you're talking about having waiters in this restaurant overhearing conversations and so passing notes to each other so that they can then elevate that person's experience. It's not just about how do we get people to come to our restaurant, it's once they're there, how do we make an experience for them which just goes to a whole nother planet as to what they were expecting or what is necessary. And that for me is kind of the secret sauce in terms of if you can provide an experience to somebody which is so outrageous, you know, you will get referrals for life. And if you're talking about big referral partners, you imagine you've got a big divorce lawyer or a big financial advisor company you want to get referrals from. The first time they give you a piece of business, ask them for the crappiest business that they've got, the house that no one else wants to touch, the client that's pain in the ass, and just go out there and deliver the most incredible experience to make no money. Go and spend your entire fee on delivering a service which is so outrageous that they feed back to that person and you then get the extra sort of business off of that person going forward. But just seriously, I think we've got an awesome opportunity doing what we're doing where you can build your personal brand. You can just totally elevate what you stand for. And without sounding harsh, the more sluggish corporate agents where the world I came from, where by the time you've had an idea, you know, the kind of the world has moved on, they will not be able to compete with that. You can be nimble, you can be actionful, and you can just take it to a whole nother level that is not defined by P&Ls or profit or returns. You're doing it for the experience, not for anything else.
It's that difference between customer experience versus customer service, right? And in the UK, we still focus on service. I think you and I have been fortunate enough to fly to the States and learn from some of the best agents in the world on numerous occasions, right? And I think the thing that always sticks for me is around year 3 of running your own business in the States on the whole, it's about 85% of your business should come from your sphere of influence inside your database. What I think we do in the UK poorly is we're constantly looking for new business, door knocking, leaflet, all the old canvassing stuff, which is great once you get going, but it's not that world-class service of repeat business, referral business. Yeah. And it comes back down to, well, they're a past client. No, they're a client for life. And I think you said it earlier, right? As Dom from Line Estates, I'm interviewing to be your agent for life, not just to get this property sold. And in order to do that, it's like, shit, this guy's got to not, you know, for him to be my agent for life, when the other guy's just talking about putting us as a featured property, it's a different experience. And I love that. What's one thing you've done then in the past 4 years that if an agent listens to this now going, I understand the principle, give us a tip, give us a bit of gold that sets your process, anything in your process that's different and it's world class, what would it be?
To be honest, we've got so many things going forward that we're now going to do now that we've kind of elevated it. But weirdly, probably the most impactful thing we've ever done is, again, we've got a mantra of we support the communities that support our business. We have no right to that business, and anyone that, you know, recommends us or looks after us as a business, we're eternally grateful for. So we will do things like, you know, stuff at Halloween. Halloween is the best thing for an estate agent because it's kind of universally appealing. It's not religious. It's not kind of political. It's just one of those things where people get involved, and it involves people going to houses. Right. It is in a way property related. People go crazy decorating them. So when I first started, bearing in mind I didn't have a penny to my name, one of the things that I did was I went down the local DIY store and I bought 10 big pebbles and I bought some orange fluorescent paint and a black Sharpie. And I basically painted these 10 pebbles bright orange and I drew pumpkin faces on them and I labeled them 1 to 10. And during the day on Halloween, I went out to my area and I just hid them in loads of different places. And then what we did is we then posted on that Facebook group that evening, when you're out and about trick-or-treating, keep an eye out for these. If you see one, take a selfie with yourself, post it on the group, and we've got 10 prizes to give away, basically. It literally cost me about a tenner to do it. The engagement, the selfless act. Richie did it recently in the same area where he did a little pop-up stand, and it was, when you're out and about trick-or-treating, come on over, we've got some games for you. We had some hot drinks for the parents who had obviously been dragged around in the cold weather, and there was no name taking. There was no database filling. There was no kind of have your email or where do you live. It was just selfless. We're just going to do something fun for people. And when people are going to then start to see that you're a human and you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, law of reciprocity is that they love you for it. So events are massively underrated. People do not do events. And it's like you said, I think it's because people class people as past clients. No such thing as a past client. They should be a client for life. But what are you doing to actually provide something that someone, what would you go to? You know, what would you personally, not something that's just off the cuff, what would you physically go to?
Yeah. And again, you saying that one, I mean, we bit of a plug here, but we have an events calendar at the estate agency, and we've got our We're in Love with Your House coming up because Valentine's is in a few weeks, depending on when this goes out. We've got Easter where we put bags out with quid Easter eggs in, just with logos on, and say, hey, put this in the group if you get one. At Halloween, we do something slightly different where it's best dressed house, send it in and we'll do all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What I like about the Halloween one you've said is if I'm being dragged around by my 3-year-old and I can get a hot drink and have a decent chat with the bloke for 5 minutes or lady or whoever, and my daughter can get a bit of chocky or a game, um, I'm going to do that. Look, we with the big one we like to push is the cinema on, right? And one of our agents, ACD, who I know you know, Anthony Cordaring, I've
Yeah.
pushed this for years, and I think he's the first guy to do it in the UK. I don't know, but it's a whole hire a cinema, cost you pennies, give people goodie bags, and just invite your database of clients, whether they come or not. It's like, wow, they've decided to put a film on at the coldest weekend of the year when no one's got any money because Christmas is coming. Then when everyone's there, I was sat outside because my daughter was having a bit of a fit, and I was going, "It's great what he's doing for the community." And everyone's going, "It's brilliant." And lo and behold, ACD stood at the front and said, "This is what we're doing." La la, didn't ask for business. Just said, "This is my business. I'm a local independent. I just wanted to help the community in which we serve." Great line. I love it, and I really believe in that. Lo and behold, as the lady's leaving, goes, "Oh, I've got property, but it's not in Ealing. It's just a bit further out. Belter of an apartment in central London. Yeah, I'll list that. No problem." Now, I'm not saying do it because you'll get immediate business, but do it because you genuinely care about where you operate. Law of reciprocity is key.
Yeah.
So go
That's
and
the hard thing though, right? Is it's
yeah,
you're trying to be a business owner and you're trying to be like, you've always been taught, treat it like a business. Almost in a way, sod that. Don't treat it like a business. You're trying to be relationship based, not transactional. And if you went out on a first date, you wouldn't be all strategic thinking, well, I'm going to spend this on this and I'm going to spend this on that. You would do something because it's just nice to do it. You like to see the other person smile. And if you
yeah,
take that approach into business and you just do nice things, that the best form of lead gen is stuff that doesn't feel like lead gen. It's not sitting there knocking on a door, cold calling people, doing whatever, going through the withdrawn lists. It's actions that will build your reputation with people, which will then lead to business further down the line.
nice. I love it. Okay, fine. Final one from me because it's a short form contest podcast. You and I are both huge advocates of the way they think and operate in the US, and we've both
Yeah.
had coaches, and I know you've got a guy at the moment helping you with your business. And I'm a huge advocate of coaching and mentoring, and agents together are great, and thank you to those guys. But I'm laboring this point because what's one thing that, and it could be expanding your thinking, it could be more relationship based stuff, it should be streamline your processes so that you can scale them by bringing more team members in. But what's something that if you were listening to this now, like you said about 10 minutes ago, in terms of if you were the client, you are the client now, but 4 years ago, or you're the podcast listener 4 years ago, what's one nugget that maybe isn't practical related, it could be that you'd like to share or that comes to your mind?
Um, as boring as it sounds, you have to document your processes. The biggest mistake I made was that as everyone does, is you're entrepreneurial, you're going out there, you're being you, you're doing this, you're doing that. And then when you get to the point of growth, and I said this recently on a podcast, which is if you are a half decent agent, you will get really busy really quickly. It will happen. It's that hockey stick effect, and you are going to need help. And if you do not have what you do written down as a process, that if you can't leave your business tomorrow and someone else run it for you whilst you're away, you're failing because it's all in your head. You won't, and then you'll have to do what I did. I had to stop working for 4 weeks whilst I hired someone to then work out what the hell I actually do so that they can then take away the actions which aren't where my best time is spent. Now, not only did that cost me money to bring someone in, I lost money because I couldn't do any business for 4 weeks. That really bloody hurt. So it's boring. Document it from the beginning. And the best thing about having it written down is that you will identify gaps. And I promise you'll elevate what you do.
I love that, Dom. I've seen it time and time again of growth, growth, growth. Shit, I need to hire someone. Growth, growth, growth. Shit, and like you say, you want it to be that hockey stick. We in our business we call it a playbook. Are you documenting your playbook from day one, and what makes your business, what makes Lion Estates different to every other business, say in the brokerage or what have you out there? So
you can't provide consistent service if you're not doing that either. Because is it fair? I mean, we've got a very customer centric view on how we do business, but is it fair that a client, as you joined Lion, is it fair that your clients get a different experience to my clients? Yours might be better or whatever. It shouldn't be a case of, it doesn't matter where you're based. And this is where I kind of struggled with corporate, it was all the different branches. Depending on which, office you dealt with, you would get a totally different experience. It shouldn't be about that. If we can identify what it is and we can put it in writing, then we can maintain that standard and we can make sure that someone's not getting a poorer service just because they've got someone else looking after them compared to someone else.
And you could open a can of worms with me on this, and we discussed it a couple of weeks ago on referral business. We've also talked about rewarding the referral, the action, not just when it exchanges. We've talked about winning the valuation or the MA before you get there, and all the steps along the way, so that when you turn up, they know who you are. They've had your video, handwritten note. You use a bit of software. We've got our tech. It's like, how do we make it so well class before we get there? Even down to the pre-val scripts that we win the instruction. If we don't, we can then look at it when it's documented and go, oh, that actually isn't quite working nowadays. We'll replace the handwritten note with an akaboom or whatever else, right? So there we go. Dom, you've been gold as expected. Thank you so much. Best of luck getting to 200 mil. It won't take too long, I'm sure. And I'm sure we'll have you back on the podcast soon.
Thanks, Chris.